Hello and welcome to Goose Live. I'm your host, Charlie Stivers, and welcome to today's episode. And we are going to jump into AI tips and insights for business and personal use. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a busy business person, you're going to want to pay attention to this one. We have some really cool tips and hacks, whatever you want to call them, but just really useful stuff for getting more productive in life and business. So I'm going to introduce my host or my guest here in just a few right after this. And welcome back to Goose Live. I'm your host, Charlie Stivers. And if you're a little bit like me, maybe you've been dabbling in AI, artificial intelligence, just in case, with some of these different tools, applications, whatever you want to call them, to make our life easier, more productive. For example, the background that you see, not this one, but the blue one, it was AI art. And I use some copywriting for AI with AI. And plus, on top of that, there's tons of misconceptions out there. So this is one of those episodes where we need to pay attention or we will get left behind. This nonsense where, thousands and thousands of people are going to lose their job. Yeah, jobs are going to shift because of it, but we're also going to be more productive, I believe. So there's lots of benefits. And my guest today is Mythica Van Griffin, and she has a social media background and has dove deeply into AI so much that she is taking lots of classes, but she's also teaching classes. So that's been pretty fascinating. Whenever you want to talk to an expert, it's kind of tough when you're dealing with technology. And AI has been around for a while, but it's really been in the public eye since I would say Q3 last year. So Mythica, welcome to the show. And you're muted still.
Hey, Charlie. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Ooh, I like your background too.
Oh, thank you.
So where do you want to start? We've had one AI artist on, and it was pretty fascinating. But we'll kind of just see where this conversation flows. I know you have some ideas to help out the audience, and we'll get into a little bit of your journey into all of this and tell some stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing I want to say is that on Facebook, I am Mythica Von Griffin on there because I got married and my last name is Blessing, and I could change that on LinkedIn. But on Facebook, I tried to send them my ID card, and it said, that's not good enough. You can't change your name. So if you're looking for me on Facebook, it's Mythica Von Griffin. If you're on LinkedIn, it's my correct name, which is Mythica Blessing. So that's why the two names. So I don't want people to get confused if they can't find me
Yeah,
because of the
I'll
wrong
show
name.
that right now, actually.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, and she's got some good stuff on there, and it's very active posting about AI. So definitely use that
Yes,
as a resource.
definitely. So, yeah, back in February, January, I think, is when Chat GPT really sort of took off. And I've always been an early adopter and jumped on because I was struggling in my own business. And in the first 2 weeks of learning about ChatGPT and starting to really understand what it could do, I did more for my business in 2 weeks than I did in 2 years. And it's just because I was stuck in overwhelm and procrastination and decision fatigue, which are the three really big things that hit a lot of people when it comes to all things about your business. Because usually, like, whatever our genius is where we're happy. We're we're energetically expansive and we enjoy talking about the subject and doing all the things. And but if you get into, okay, so how are your email funnels going? You're like, I don't want to talk about email funnels. Like, or, oh, great. So, how's your weekly blog going? Or your weekly, uh,
Social media posts.
YouTube or social media posts or any of those things. And you're like,
Mhm.
well, I really need to do something with that.
Yeah,
And so the ever constant content creation that's necessary as a part of business can be a real drain for a lot of people because that isn't their wheelhouse. Like, their expertise is their wheelhouse, and then the rest of it, to be quite honest, most of us would rather just pass it off or pass it on to somebody else. But not all solopreneurs, entrepreneurs can afford to pay a business planner, a social media marketer, an influencer, an SEO optimization person, uh, someone to take care of their website issues, um, create digital content, create videos, write the scripts, do the postings, do the research that's necessary, like, and the list goes on and on and on. All of that
right.
time. It's a huge time eater, but it's one of those like necessary evil kind of things. And even though I'm a person who loves to generate that kind of stuff, the amount that's sort of necessary to create consistent posting is quite daunting. And when you go, like, especially in Instagram, and you see the person who has all the posts look the same, or they have what I call the checkerboard, right? So they've got a picture and a quote and a quote and a picture and a quote and a quote, and their thing looks like a checkerboard, and they have over 100,000 people, and you're like, how did they do that, right?
Yeah,
And and so now with AI, that's easy. That is now easy. You can do that, and you can
pretty cool.
actually come up with. I came up with for a client who had a startup company, brand new company, and needed to target it, had a product, needed to target both um, shop owners as well as the people who would purchase the products from the shop owners. We came up with a 60-day social media campaign targeting both of those people in a timed thing with emails and posts in 60 minutes for 60 days
Wow.
worth of content, including emails in 60 minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk about productivity.
So that's an unparalleled amount of productivity. Um, And so that's what the power of AI is. And I heard what you said earlier in terms of like people are afraid about their jobs. And here's the thing, AI needs a human to ask the questions, right? So it's not that they're going to replace people's jobs. It's that they are going to, the people who know how to use AI are going to replace the jobs of people who don't use it.
Agreed.
And that's the real answer. So
Mhm.
what it comes down to is education.
Exactly.
And that
Thank
is
you
no
for being
different.
on here.
That's no different than saying the person with a college degree is going to be picked above the person who doesn't have one, right? That's what it used to be. But how education has been happening in the past 10, 20 years has been completely shifting. True, there's some basic things that are still the same in terms of like lawyers and doctors and things like that. But you do not need to get a business degree anymore. You can go take Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk and take their masterminds and go in with a brilliant idea and come out the other side a millionaire.
Yeah, we're always learning anyway, hopefully. Most
Yeah.
are. But I agree. I mean, beyond college, it's endless.
Yeah,
And,
totally endless.
you know,
The
always
learning never
about
ends.
personal development, business development, self-improvement, all those things. Yeah.
Everything. So I just listened to somebody else the other day who was just saying, whatever the course is, say yes. And they got that from Bob Proctor, who's like the grandfather
Sense.
of personal development.
Yeah. The secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
And he's just like, if there's a course, say yes to it. Because you don't know what you don't know. Just always say yes. And so that's what I did with AI. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, you you shared with me a week or two ago that you're in this a week-long course, pretty in depth and advanced. You maybe that'll lead into the rest of the conversation. And on top of that, we were going through your LinkedIn, and you had a really cool post that we'll direct people to. And I think that was like 5 tools or tips that you recommend. Do you want to maybe get into some of these that are some of your favorites?
Yeah, sure. So
don't give away too much on that LinkedIn post, but give them the reason to check that one out.
Yeah. So I won't give away. So on the LinkedIn post, basically, I myself got diagnosed with ADHD about 4 weeks ago, and it has changed my world, rocked my world, and so I'm pivoting in terms of I want to help people, whether they're diagnosed or not, with ADHD, like the person who meets those, like the 3 criteria, which one of these 3 things is going on in their business world. They feel overwhelmed, they're procrastinating on stuff, or they have decision fatigue, right? And that can happen to anybody, to be honest. They're going through a divorce and they're trying to run their business at the same time. Their family has health issues and they're going through stuff at the same time. They have 3 kids and mom is sick. and they have to play Mr. Mom, whatever it is, right? We all go through periods of that in our life. And so, my thing is like, let AI take some of the load, please. There's ways for it to help with that. And so in my LinkedIn post, I'm like, let me tell you 5 apps / AI tools that you need in your business to help you with that. So I won't be going over those 5 things. But just so you know, all the
Yeah,
ads
I'm
that
excited to check it out.
just so you know, all those things that you see on Facebook is Facebook ads for all that stuff. It's none of those, right? These are either free, or they're nearly free, or they have a free trial period or whatever. And so those have been life changing for me. So it might be true for you also.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the Facebook posts you're talking about are what they refer to as prompts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know I
Yes.
looked into some of those too, and it's like, I'm not paying you $100 for
Please don't. Okay, so for anybody who looks at those things that it says it's 4,000 prompts, 1,000 prompts, 2,000 prompts, do not do it. I already bought them. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't fall for the trap.
Okay.
Because it's more important to learn prompt logic than it is to pay for prompts. So, it's that age old concept of uh, give a man a fish or teach a man to fish. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's why I'm like, don't buy the fish, learn how to fish.
Yep.
Right. And that's part of what I do. I teach my clients prompt logic so that no matter what the landscape does, they're going to be fine. Because that's super important.
And I find it pretty interesting, actually, too. And we were talking about this last time as well, and I learned this from someone else. Like, use please and thank you, be kind to the AI bot, and that was fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in ChatGPT, um, if you say please at the beginning of your prompt and thank you at the end of it, or sprinkle it in, it will actually give you a better answer. And if you don't believe me, make 2 windows, say the same thing, but leave out the please and thank you, and you will clearly see the difference.
I even go to the point now where it's like, dang, that was a really good response. Thank you. And oh, we're glad you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
So
great.
It's kind of fun
It's
that it does interact with you to some point.
yeah, whoever put that in was genius. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because it's teaching us better behavior, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that just either assume, or there's a sense of entitlement. Just do what I told you. But the kind of thing that's funny is that when they get told that please and thank you will actually get a better response, they get annoyed at it. But when they test it out and they see that it's true, they start doing it. So what happens, because I'm also a certified hypnotherapist and a neurolinguistic master practitioner, is that the more they actually start doing it in the typing and stuff, the more that actually translate out into the real world. So the people who were very, kind of programmed to be entitled, it starts to seep in that they should say please and thank you, and it's great. It's great. Like, it's training other people to have manners, which is, I think, is fascinating.
I think so too. It just popped in my head. But what do you think about like spelling errors? Like, I always check my stuff, but like these kids now, I mean, they text in, like my son says I'm a, he texts me I'm a now instead of I will be, or I'm going to. It's like I'm like, oh boy. So
yeah, so
spelling mistakes, all that stuff.
Well, the thing is that once people see that it doesn't understand the context, then they have to go back and do it. Like, again, it's training people to be more precise. Like, there's a few spelling mistakes that can happen where AI can tell that you misspelled a word, but it kind of understood what that word was. But the hyphenation stuff and the shortened words, it doesn't get so much, but it does understand. Like if you say IG, it understands that IG is Instagram. If you say CTA, it does know that you mean call to action. So there's, an acronyms that it has in its database that it does understand,
And it's learning. Yeah.
and it's learning. So
Okay.
ICA is ideal client avatar.
Okay. That's new to me.
And right, and there's different things that are like that like if you use the term URL, most of us know what URL stands for.
Yeah.
Right, and so there are different acronyms that are like that in many different fields, that it understands the context of when you're talking about things, what those shortened letters are for, which I think is just brilliant. But it's learning from our conversations.
Nice. So, well, let's start getting into some of the meat and potatoes of this. And we're going to get back to that after just a quick 30-second
Okay, great.
commercial. All right. So let's jump into some of your expertise. I know that you're launching a business out of this, and you incorporate it with your social media business as well. So, why don't you teach us some cool stuff, and and we'll have people reach out to you. Again, we'll put up your contact info.
Okay. So one of the important really things to know is that while ChatGPT is definitely the main platform, there's been a bunch of stuff about Claude and Claude 2 and Bing and everything else, right? And so I went and tested the rest of the stuff out, just to be like, okay, where's the hype? What's going on? So on and so forth. Um, and um, and so here's the thing, hands down, above Bing, above Claude 2, ChatGPT is the most creative and intuitive of the AI engines in terms of answering stuff and understanding context. And so what I mean by that is that when I put in the stuff about as a very simple example, I have a prompt that has to do with the ideal client avatar, right? So we put in what your business is, and the services that you have, and like where your location is, like Denver and online, or Boise, Idaho, wherever it is, right? And ChatGPT will spit out an ideal client avatar. So will Bing, and so will Claude 2. But Claude 2, hands down, is great at looking at a 75-page document and summarizing it. ChatGPT can't do that. It doesn't have the capabilities. But Claude 2, no matter how much I tried to shorten it, could not give me. I was like, all right, so you generated the ideal client avatar. Please help me generate a 30-day social media blitz where it's a post a day for 30 days. And it said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I'm like, okay, how about 2 weeks? It says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I said, okay, how about 1 week? It says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And so it is very, very, I will do only what is within my parameters kind of thing. Whereas ChatGPT is like, sure, I'd be happy to do that for you. Here we go. Brrr, right? And you can go as far down the rabbit hole with each and every single post as you want. Now, Bing has access to the internet, but you have to do it on an entirely separate browser. And it's a bit cumbersome in terms of it doesn't have all the plugins that Chrome does, right? So you have a lot of things in Chrome with the plugins, and Bing isn't able to cross pollinate. They have to be on completely separate platforms. So there's a lot of separate sign-ins and everything else, and it's just not as helpful. Although it has access to the internet as it now is, but you can already do that on Chrome with Google Bard. So Bard is great for current analysis with businesses, with other platforms. And what you do is you take that information and you import it over to ChatGPT and say, okay, here's the research. Based on this research, what can you tell me? Right? And that is really where the gold is going back and forth between Bard and ChatGPT to get sort of the most up-to-date information, because ChatGPT, as of September 2021, doesn't have access to the internet. But I will let you know that as of last week, ChatGPT just filed for ChatGPT 5 in the, like, I don't think it's the patent office, but I think it's like the copyright office or something like that. So we know it's on the books and that it's coming because they filed it last week. And that's what I'm talking about, like staying on top of things and taking classes.
Yeah.
I have 6 different platforms that I read a daily AI newsletter from to try and stay on top of everything, because it's just, but as an ADHD person, it's like, I'm like, ooh, what's the next new thing that's coming out? So that's exciting. Mm-hmm. But for other people, it'll be like, oh, not another thing. And so my big thing is to make all, it's like, for me, I make all that fun. Like, I'm like, oh my God, you are not going to believe this. Look at this, Becky. It's great, right? And so ChatGPT is still king. ChatGPT is still king, but I'm telling you so. So here's a little secret. Come on, lean in. Google is being very hush hush, but they're coming out with something called Google Gemini. Bard is just a little placeholder so that they can still be active in things. But Gemini might be coming out in November, and when it does, it is going to blow everything away, because it can integrate images and videos. So it can read and understand what's in a picture and what's in a video and text and put it all together and understand the whole enchilada. And it's going to turn everything on its head. So
sounds
right
like
now,
they probably took some of that technology from YouTube that scrubs everything.
Yeah. There's some plugins that do that right now with ChatGPT. There's a plugin. Let me see if I can look at it. VoxScript. VoxScript is the plugin.
VOX?
VOX. V as in Victor. OX. VoxScript. And it can pull transcripts and stuff. And you can import from VoxScript into ChatGPT. But you're going to have current access to the internet. It can understand images and video. And so it can absorb all that information. So right now, up to this point, it's all been linguistic. And then you're going to
I'm
get
taking
a
notes.
robot that can understand what it's seeing. And that is going to be the game changer. That is going to be the game changer. It'll be crazy when that happens. So we all think that this was amazing, but wait until that happens. I can't wait. I'm on the edge of my seat. I know people who are like have a little inside track on that, and I am glad that I am friends with them.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's super exciting, and it's going to be on the way.
Well, we're going to have to bring you back on the show. Get some updates.
Yep, because I can't wait, and I hope I get to be one of the people that's on the edge of learning of all that stuff.
I know Google's really good about doing that. I've had a couple of friends who get flown into town to their Google headquarters here for some intensive or mastermind.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's fun.
So, any other like tools for business or even personal? Like, how is AI going to help us in real life? You know, at home or emails.
Okay, so here's a freebie I'll give everyone. So most people I know have a Gmail account, right? So so there is a ton of stuff that's really, really great. That is, it's a Chrome extension. So tons of people don't really understand that a bunch of AI is in Chrome extensions. And so this is the one that everyone can use, and even if you have Outlook and other business stuff, you can like forward an email to your Gmail account and have this Chrome extension help you craft responses. So it's called superflows.ai. And it's a Chrome extension. You upload it, add it, give it permission to work with your Gmail. And it's like a big yellow S. Okay. So get this, right? It will, let's say you have a long email. You can hit this little button up at the top that says summarize. So it will take your email and it will summarize it into something like this big instead of like your really long thing. It'll tell you, hey, Charlie's asking you to schedule the podcast. Charlie also wants your links for the show, and he wants to make sure that this is taken care of, and these are the time slots that he has, and it just says that, right, instead of the whole long email. And so
we can do the TLDR,
right? And so then you have 4 different ways that you can give a tone, and it's on a little slide bar. So you can be professional, you can be formal, you can be casual, or you can be friendly in terms of your response. So then in the little area with the prompt, you can say, tell Charlie, yeah, I'll do that. Ask him for the link for scheduling. Oh God, I'm really tired. Go back.
All hands free,
right? Yeah, all hands free. Yeah. Like, because you can talk to text, yeah. And you're like, and tell him in the most polite way possible, I'll get back to him tomorrow because I don't feel well today. Without, and so
that's pretty cool. So
whatever your energy level is at, like, you just say, and you can say, tell them in the nicest way possible, and set it into the professional mode. And even though you're not feeling that way right now, and you hit generate, and it generates this beautiful professional letter for you with like collegiate level words, that you're like, wow, that makes me sound so smart and professional. I'm so glad, because that's not how I feel right now. And everyone's been there when you're writing emails, right? And you're tired, and it's the end of the day, and it's the last 15 emails that you have to get through.
And you're supposed to reply.
Right? And so it does it so fast. It's just ridiculous. Like, I have reduced the amount of time I do an email. And I actually look at my emails more now because I don't feel the same overwhelm with the emails. Like, not anymore. Not anymore. It's great.
Yeah, even these like emails that you subscribe to that, for business purposes or, whatever, personal development even, they're so long and they're value packed, but
Ugh.
I wish they had the TLDR of it, and here you go.
Well, here you go. It's so easy. And
That's
it's
cool.
just, and it's built on, so superflows.ai is free, and it's built on ChatGPT 4. So it's super smart, super fast, great response time, and sometimes it might get a little something wrong, and then you just add a little this or that to make it a little bit more personal or something, and it's great. It's absolutely great. And the interesting thing is I put it in friendly mode, and it sounds just like me in friendly mode.
Really? Okay.
And then I have this other business that I'm interacting with that's sort of way higher than what I normally interact with, and like they're trying to sell their stuff to the oil and gas industry, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna put that in professional mode. I'm not doing a friendly email with them. Like, I'm gonna be in a professional mode for that, because like that's who my audience is for that email.
Mm-hmm.
So I can change it based on where my audience is at, which is great. It's fantastic. There's
So
another
I think
one.
my first experience was, and we can get into whatever next, but I think it was 2 years ago. I remember there were calendar booking AI bots. Are those, and I remember they were kind of quirky. Anything that's really useful with those, or you can go into whatever else if you're like, eh.
That was in my class today.
Oh. I think it was Amy.ai was the calendar one back in the day.
I don't know where it is, but I remember them going over that in my class today.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I am looking at a new AI website or something that does something. And then there's other times when people ask me the question just like you asked, and I'm like, I don't know, that I'll go find out.
Yep. Me too.
So but I do know that there are bot builders. So they will build a bot for you and walk you through it. But I did hear one, like I said, in my class today. I'm in the middle of a 4-day AI class. Mm-hmm. And today was day 3, tomorrow's day 4. And I take it every month.
Yeah, if you know a bot builder, I do want to interview a bot builder. I know there's one in Denver actually that sells the service.
Yeah, well, there's AI bot builders now.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, the AI will build the bot for you. You just tell it what you want it to do, and it just builds it for you in a stupid, ridiculous amount of time. So the thing is that the bot builders better know what that AI does, and if they're smart, they use it to cut down their turnaround time.
Oh yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. Like there's a website that has a listing of all the AI tools out there, and it's over 1,000 long, and it grows every day. So I think I'm up to reviewing about 100 of them at this point, and every day that goes by, I learn a new one. And then when people are like, "Oh, is there something to do that?" and I'm like, yes, there is.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is that searchable?
Yes, there is.
But is that list searchable?
Yes, it is.
Like based on a need? Okay. Yeah.
Yep. There's all these bubbles. It's great.
We're down to like 7-8 minutes. So if you have another 1 or 2 tips,
absolutely. So tip number 1, this is for ChatGPT, because remember I told you it's all about the logic, right? So no matter what prompt you're going to do for ChatGPT, you have to tell it who it is. So, for example, let's say that you're doing something with marketing. You say you are the best, most creative marketer in the world, and I have hired you to, and then you tell it what it is that you want it to do. Another one would be you are the best bio writer in the world. You've written incredible pieces for some of the most famous people in the world, and you're known for your storytelling ability. Write a bio about me. Here's an old one that I had. I need you to spruce it up, right? So you have to tell it a job, and what it does is it narrows down, right? And the other thing that you can do is you can tell it what tone of voice to write in, like professional, casual, friendly, fun, but informative, right? So you can even put things together. The other thing that you can tell it is what kind of voice to use. So you can either train it in your own voice by entering in some text that gives it some context so that it can learn your style. Or you can say, I'm writing to male business owners. So write this in the tone of voice of Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk, but do not self-reference your name, right? So that way it doesn't say it. If you're writing to women, say write in the voice of Oprah and Brene Brown, but do not self-reference, right? And then it'll salt and pepper their style into whatever it is, right? And this is some of the brilliance of what ChatGPT does in terms of that creative mode that Claude just does not do. It doesn't do it. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not in my parameters, right?
Yeah.
It just takes more license. And so the next thing is that whenever you're getting sort of not necessarily the creative things like writing a bio or marketing copy or things like that, but anytime that you have any sort of factual data, because ChatGPT wants to help you do things and it doesn't understand the difference between being creative and going to the next logical step and lying. It has no idea. It just says, I am creatively trying to please you. So it will cite references that aren't real. It'll state facts that aren't real. It'll state dates that aren't real. So at the end of any kind of information, you need to say, please check yourself for plagiarism and any AI hallucinations to ensure everything that you have just given me is factual and accurate. And just do that, and at the end, it'll be fine.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah. Like, because everyone's
Hey,
worried
Chat, go
about
check
that.
yourself.
Yeah, you tell it to go check its stuff because it just wants to be creative. Like that's part of its nature. It's not trying to lie to you. It just goes to the next most logical step. So like when you ask about something legal, somebody got into really big trouble with this in terms of like they went after somebody and said, ChatGPT told me that this was illegal, when in fact it wasn't. And when the person was like, please cite me where this code is, it did go to the website but it made up the ending code, and you go to a page that says 404 not found. Right?
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that when it has anything to do with facts at all, you ask it to check itself for plagiarism, hallucinations, and inaccuracies and pull that out. And it'll do it.
So do you actually use the word hallucinations?
I do use the words hallucinations, yes.
Wow. Okay.
So, if you say to ChatGPT, do you know what AI hallucinations are? It says, yes, I know what AI hallucinations are. And I said, okay, can you please check yourself and what prompt should I use after you've given me an answer to make sure that any hallucinations or inaccuracies are not in your answer. And it gave me the prompt. You can ask ChatGPT for prompts, by the way,
Oh,
to prompt it. All freebies. There you go.
yeah, that's sharp. How about like even like are they on the phones yet or mobile or any good like AI tools on phones?
Not on the phones, but there are AI apps that will. Um, one is called like Hey Gen, and it will do audio, text to audio, or video, and so you just type in whatever you want it to say, and it will say it.
Mhm.
But you can also video capture other people's voices. So I was the victim only once of that. They got, and because there's so much stuff on YouTube of Dr. Joe Dispenza, somebody used that website to get Dr. Joe Dispenza's voice and get him to say something in their commercial saying, yeah, if you do these things every day. And then the website said, to find out Dr. Joe's 5 things that he just said you had to know, click here. And it went to a thing that had nothing to do with Dr. Joe, and it was just a scam. But they used AI to capture his voice and say that.
Mhm. Well, good timing. We are out of time. Let me put
Okay.
up your info and thank you so much, Mythica. That was so helpful, and I would really love to have you back. I mean, this is going to be such an interesting journey to take.
Oh yeah.
So,
And we only like barely touched the surface at all.
oh, I know, yeah. So check out Mythica on LinkedIn, Mythica Blessing, and she's so helpful, giving person, and super talented. So we'll talk to you next time, and thank you for joining us, Mythica.
Thank you so much for having me.